Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for your time in watching this video. This is such a special moment. I am Daniel, the host of the channel, and I would like to welcome here Antoine to talk about a topic that it is a key topic in the sales and business development arena in the world. And I invited Antoine because he's amazing on the topic that is executive presence. But before jumping into it, I would like to thank Antoine for his time. And also, Antoine, could you present yourself and tell us what you do for life, a little bit of your background?
Okay, sure. Well, thank you for inviting me, Daniel. I'm very excited to be here. Is this, how many episodes? Is this episode number 7?
Oh, no, I think that this interview is the number 4, I guess, in the channel.
Number 4. All right. Lucky number 4. Well, I'm excited to be here for number 4. And what I can tell you is, for work, I operate as a consultant, typically doing sales training for SaaS organizations. So I have the opportunity of working with many different companies in order to help them streamline and change the way they operate to higher levels of efficiency. It's very rewarding, and I do enjoy it. And on my free time, I also like to, travel around, and every evening when the sun's setting, I like to go for maybe a bike ride or like the stand-up paddleboard. I like to do that as well.
That's awesome. And Antoine, I invited you because when we met in the first time, we were working together in a project, and I saw from the first moment that you had what we were going to talk about, executive presence. Like in the first moment, you already got the arena. And I thought, oh, this is amazing. And I think that this can be taught for our salespeople in Brazil and in the world. And that's why we are here. So first of all, executive presence, Antoine, what is it and why is this important to sales professionals?
Okay, well, there's many ways of approaching this. I would say, let's start from a real big distance here. Like, for example, Daniel, have you ever watched a stand-up comedian?
Yeah.
Okay, so we know it's a profession, it's a job to stand up in front of a group of people, and a stand-up comedian will talk for 30 minutes. And in that 30 minutes, they are kind of like a salesperson. They're selling laughs. But if it doesn't go well, then it can be a very awkward, embarrassing scenario.
Yeah.
Now, if you've ever been to a live show watching a stand-up comedian, sometimes someone in the audience yells something at them. And this is to destabilize them, to make them uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And a good stand-up comedian, when you watch the way they respond, it's so funny because it's very intelligent and they respond so quickly that it's impressive. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the reality is that those stand-up comedians are not more intelligent. Their brains don't work faster. What happened there is that they're on stage maybe every night or 3-4 days a week. And when somebody yells something out in the audience, we think that it's unique. But for the stand-up comedian, they hear that once a week, maybe once a night. So their response is measured, it's prepared, it's intelligent, it's rehearsed, and it makes everyone feel great that they're in such control.
Yeah.
So when we talk about executive presence, we're talking about something similar, where you're watching someone who's making decisions, important decisions, with confidence, and it's demonstrating leadership, and it's allowing everyone to think that they're in good hands, that there's someone who's in control, and they're the right person to drive the boat.
Awesome. Awesome. But Antoine, I have a question. Like in the current context, we are recording this interview in July 22. And I think that the virtual meetings and the virtual work has taken the space. How can we build executive presence in the online world and not only in the in-person world?
Okay, well, those two worlds are coming together. That this reality for a business professional today, this is how many meetings are conducted. So it all starts off with when you watch a movie, did the director plan what you were seeing? Absolutely. They designed it in a very specific way. And it begins with that. If we're working in a remote environment, the way we operate should be very controlled. What are they looking at? Is there a door behind me? Is there a towel on the door? No. We need to have it in control. Behind me, it's just a piece of black fabric, okay? And some lighting, and I'm controlling it, but there's nothing special behind me except that I've designed it. So first thing is, you want to make sure that you're in control of how your meetings look in the remote environment. It's very important. There's details. Lighting is everything. Go and buy some lights. They're not that expensive, and be able to have good separation. So you look, more like a movie star than somebody who's in their bedroom.
Awesome. That's awesome. And I have a question, Antoine. What aspects the executive presence masters, as you, display when they are interacting with a client, with a prospect?
The funny thing is that we're focusing on these skills in terms of, a more modern approach or remote meetings. But people skills, the basic stuff, how you ask questions, how you listen to the answers, this is what separates, the professional from the amateur. So, okay, let's break it down this way. When I speak to a friend of mine, that is a social interaction, and there's a set of rules there. When I'm speaking to a business leader or a B2B situation, then I can be friendly, but this is not social. This is business. And I would say the higher up that my prospect is in the hierarchy of their organization, if they have a chief in their title, then the way I respond and the way I interact with them changes. It is more focused, more measured, more condensed. You need to get right to the point.
Okay.
And of course, this takes a little bit of planning. I'd say the most fundamental skills of, within executive presence would be, how prepared are you and how well are you listening to the people around you?
Okay.
Like, Daniel, have you ever been at a wedding and you had to give a speech or something like that?
Not me, but I have already seen this scene.
Okay. So if you've seen someone at a wedding and they get up and they have their papers and they're, nervous and they give the speech, we're all friends. It's social. This is not professional. But usually the speech is not that polished.
Yeah. And
if you were to ask yourself, how many times did they actually read the speech? Did they wrote it? Did they read it once or twice?
Yeah.
Decided it was good and got up there. And for a wedding, that's fine. as far as being a business professional, if you prepared to speak on anything and you only practice once, I mean, that's amateur. So one way to command attention and respect from people is how prepared you are. And if you have to give that speech in a business environment, I would go in front of the mirror and give it 10 times, 20 times. And now when you're in front of the board and you deliver it, it's not the first time you're saying it. It's like the comedian. They do it every night. That's why they're so good. For a business professional, if you're doing something new, you need to practice and be totally prepared.
That's awesome. And like going into this arena, how can we develop ourselves both practically, as you said, and theoretically in executive presence?
Well, I mean, we don't need to reinvent anything. You know, some of the oldest professionals in sales have explained to us the basics. You know, when it comes to Dale Carnegie here, and, you know, some of the classic things that we've learned from him is to pay attention to people, use their name, smile, listen to what they're saying, act as if you want to help them. And let's say this, Daniel, if you and I were racing, all right, we were like doing a running race for money, and it was difficult. We had to go over rocks. And the first time, if you fell and I put my hand out and I helped you up, later in the race, if I fell, do you think you would help me?
Yeah.
And that's how it all starts, that if I want to build a powerful relationship, you have to be the first one to show that you care, that you're interested, that you want to help. And that's the way we accelerate the relationship.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And right now, I'm going to the last question here. In your daily work, how do you train your clients in executive presence? How do you do that?
Well, I mean, I think it's difficult to answer in a general sense because there's so many different roles that we play and there's different interactions. But I would say the higher the stakes, the meeting, the more important it is to achieve your goals, then the more you need to prepare. And what I've come to learn is that people don't prepare very much. It is shocking at high levels of business. Especially if I do this all the time, then there's people that don't really go out of their way to prepare. But this is what I would do for a meeting. I would take some minutes, think about, well, you're going to do some research before any meeting, but I would take some time to think about my prospect. What are they going to ask me? And then when I ask them questions, what are they going to answer? And, you know, I can take a best guess. I might not be right every time, but on some of the questions, I already know what they're going to ask me. And it only took me 5 minutes to think about, well, what are they going to say? So I can prepare ahead of time. And now when they ask me, again, I have an answer that is prepared, almost like a politician. This type of preparation does not take long, but it is a step that I think many people miss. So yeah, I would say ahead of time, what are you going to ask me? So I know what to say, and so I can be prepared to react. And let's see here. Supposed to go a little bit further if you want me to.
Yeah, for sure.
It would be really around listening. And that if we're focused on asking questions, we oftentimes forget to listen. And my next best question I would ever ask you is going to be based off your answer, not what I have written down here.
Okay. Perfect. Antoine, that's it. Straight to the point, very precise, and thanks for the clear answers. Thank you so much.
Daniel, thank you for inviting me. It's been a pleasure. I hope to see you soon.
Me too. And thank you, people. I am finishing the interview here. I'm gonna let I'm gonna put my contact my contact, sorry, in the description of the video. And if you have any questions, please direct it to me and I will pass them to Antoine. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.